The narrative begins as a high school girl nervously tells her friend that a boy confessed to her after she helped him pick up his things. Her friend is surprised and asks if she said yes, even though she doesn't know him well. The girl admits she did, explaining that everything happened so quickly she didn't really think, but now she regrets it and decides to turn him down. Her friend immediately supports her decision, believing that she is too naive and doesn't know anything about love. The perplexed girl's mind is still locked in that bizarre moment when the boy suddenly asked her out. Her friend thoughtfully mentions that she has seen Shirabe Makoto talking to other girls during practice. She finds it strange that he confessed to her in front of everyone, even though they just met, and bluntly calls him shallow. The female protagonist realizes that the whole thing seems shady. Nothing says romance like public confusion. So when her friend wonders whether they exchanged contact information, she nervously affirms. Her buddy advises her not to contact him since he is a stranger to her, as she doesn't want her dear Kokoro to get in hot water. She expresses gratitude to her friend Mika for showing concern. Kokoro feels touched when Mika offers to stay with her while she turns down Makoto. After school, she learns Mika has an urgent meeting and apologizes, asking if she can wait for her. Kokoro smiles and assures her that she can handle the situation on her own. But on her way, she is deeply confused about how to reject his offer. She keeps on regretting responding to him without thinking. She decides to clear up the mess as soon as possible. She looks around for the tennis club and wonders if she can just go there, because awkward situations are best handled immediately. She is terrified as Mika's words, weird and shallow, constantly ring in her ears. Just like she expected, she spots him in the club, expertly smashing the ball with the racket. She is completely awestruck by him as he plays tennis with precision. She suddenly imagines herself freaking out on seeing a swiftly approaching ball towards herself while playing tennis and getting knocked out. She shudders at the terrifying thought and concludes that she can never take part in such a thing. Someone calls out to Makoto and advises him not to overexert himself as they are about to train hard. A baffled Kokoro cannot understand why such a person would take an interest in her. As he lifts his shirt to wipe off the sweat from his chin, her glance unconsciously falls on his abdomen and she looks away, blushing hard. With a thumping heart, she recalls Mika telling her that he is a shallow person, but she finds it difficult to believe that someone so deeply into sports could be weird. She is aware that he is from a different league than hers. Clearly, this is becoming inconvenient for logic. As he joins his friends, one of them queries him about whether he actually confessed to Aomi-san in Class 3. A flustered Kokoro cannot help eavesdropping on their conversation as she reckons that they are talking about her. Makoto is surprised to hear her name because he never heard of that name before. His friends are shocked that he actually confessed to a girl whom he didn't know. A flushed Makoto reveals that it was love at first sight for him. Love works fast, apparently. His friends begin to whistle and tease him about his immense knowledge of love. He gets annoyed and urges them to clear up the mess before Sensei arrives. His friends oblige but are curious about Kokoro's personality. One of them remarks that she may be cute, but not exceptionally gorgeous. Kokoro hears everything with a pounding heart, and suddenly her phone begins to buzz. Nervously, she checks her phone and finds a string of messages from his side. In those messages, he admits that he fell in love with her instantly and expects the same kind of reaction from her side. In the end, he heartily requests that she take care of him from now on. A disturbed Kokoro looks in his direction, and in that moment, he turns around and finally notices her. He is startled and calls out to her. Her heart thumping fiercely, she tries to respond, but then it is announced that all first years should gather around. He solemnly waves at her with his heart pounding rapidly, while a beet-red Kokoro only stares at him. Later in the evening, Mika shrieks in surprise when she learns that Kokoro is all set to date Makoto. Kokoro calmly reasons that he doesn't appear weird to her. Still, Mika is concerned about her getting hurt. Quite hesitantly, Kokoro declares that she doesn't want to turn him down and desires to know him better. Mika agrees with understanding but warns her to tell her right away if anything dangerous happens. She expresses her interest in getting more details from her the next day and then hangs up. Finding solace, Kokoro admits to herself that she found him to be a cute and shy person and that she wanted to touch his heart a bit earlier. She recalls with a sigh that at that magical moment, it felt as if time stopped. She has no idea why she is feeling so awkward. Suddenly, her phone begins to buzz again. Puzzled, she discovers a message from Makoto, asking her whether she wants to accompany him to the school the next morning. She blushes furiously and secretly seeks advice from Mika about her response. She realizes that although she has no idea about love, she has this urge to know him better. Finally, she types yes in response and reckons that she never had this feeling since she was born. Clutching her pillow tightly, she wonders what she should do, and thus begins overthinking. Level 1. The next morning, Aomi finds him waiting for her. His glance falls on her, and he begins to blush deeply. He quickly calls out to her and dashes toward her. He greets her, but a jittery Kokoro begins to stutter. She fidgets nervously while biting her nails, and finally utters a greeting. He suddenly realizes that he was being too loud, which startled her, and throws her an apology. They both stare at each other, dumbstruck, and then decide to head to school. Kokoro is very nervous, because it is her first time being alone with a guy. She sneaks a glance at him and notices their height difference. She guesses that since he sleeps a lot, that's why he is so tall. Next, she observes that his pace is faster than hers, and then her gaze falls on his shoes that are king-sized, just like any regular guy. He unexpectedly turns around and wonders whether he is walking too fast. Her heart begins to pound fiercely as she realizes her little sneak peek just got caught by him. Quite shakily, she barely manages to assure him. Nevertheless, he decides to walk more slowly. She realizes that she can barely talk to him. She notices the growing proximity between them as their shoulders are about to touch. Out of the blue, she is taken over by sudden heat and an urge to go somewhere airy. He stares at her intently and then remarks that she appears so soft, like a fluff ball. Out of sheer embarrassment, she hides her face, so a panic-stricken Makoto clarifies that he meant it in a good way. Next, he is grateful to her for visiting him at the tennis club yesterday and proclaims that it made him pleased. When she stares at him blankly, he questions her about whether she was aware that he is in the tennis club. A flabbergasted Kokoro blurts out that her friend had mentioned it once, so she came to check on him. His heart jumps in joy since she took all the pain just to peek at him. Next, he expresses curiosity about her leisure activity, so she mentions that she is in the sewing club that makes clothes and other stuff. She points at the pretty hairpin in her hair and claims that she even made that. He stoops to get a closer look at it and is impressed, remarking that it is very cute. She blushes hard while staring into his eyes and thanks him. A beet-red Makoto realizes that he is getting too close to her, so he immediately pulls away and apologizes. A terrified Kokoro feels flushed all over because not only did their shoulders collide, but she could feel his breath over her face. He also apologizes to her for startling her with his sudden confession yesterday. He explains that at that time, it just occurred to him to ask her out. He bashfully admits that being a first-timer, he doesn't truly comprehend this feeling. Kokoro is surprised to learn that the feeling is mutual. Suddenly, he pulls her closer and is eager to know her feelings. She realizes that even he is thinking in the same way as her. Love is mutual. Or is it just mutual awkwardness? Instantly, he realizes his mistake again as he can feel various curious glances around them and quickly apologizes. An amused Kokoro giggles and then declares that even she feels the same. Soon, they reach outside her class, so he drops her there and leaves. As he walks away, a flushed Kokoro stares after him thoughtfully and then suddenly grabs his sleeve. A shocked Makoto turns around with his heart beating fiercely. She nervously blurts out that since she cannot play tennis, she feels that he is remarkable at it. She emphasizes that the previous day, he was more than amazing and was sparkling like a star. She fidgets nervously and stammers that she just wanted to let him know that. She quickly walks away, leaving Makoto fully flushed and baffled. As she reaches her class, she finds Mika waiting for her. Best exit speech ever. Mika notices Makoto at a distance from the classroom and guesses that he might have accompanied her to school. She quickly affirms and realizes that this is the first time her heart has beaten so rapidly that morning. She mentions to Mika that she found him cute and adorable, just like a puppy. Mika cannot believe that she is comparing him to a dog. In her classroom, Kokoro is merrily whistling and scribbling something on paper. Once she is done, she reads the points that she has jotted down about what she wants to know about Shirabe-kun. It has been a couple of days since they started dating, and she still wants to know him better. She is still uncertain about asking for his student number or class schedule because that might creep him out. However, she reasons that by knowing his schedule, she would be able to lend him the textbooks. Soon, she, along with Mika, gets ready for their PE lesson, and Mika exhaustedly guesses that they will be doing long-distance running as per the season, so she really hopes that she is wrong. Kokoro absent-mindedly agrees, since both she and Makoto are in different classes. She stares at the never-ending corridor and realizes that Makoto's class is very far away. Mika catches the misery on her face and inquires about it. With a forced smile, she shrugs it off, but sharp-edged Mika knows that she is hiding something from her. Secretly, Kokoro ponders that, until now, she hasn't noticed the number of couples in their school. Her heart races when she sees two strangers holding hands. She wonders if one day she'll be able to embrace him as naturally as they do. Later, in the bathroom mirror, she forces a bright smile. She tries to be more natural while smiling, thinking that her features are a little stiff. She definitely doesn't want to scare him off out of her own nervousness. Here, Charming is like overthinking a smile in the bathroom. Out of the blue, Mika peeks inside after waiting for her for some time. Kokoro flinches nervously on seeing her. Concerned, Mika consoles her and tries to wipe off her still wet face. She stutters, thanks to her, thinking she might have caught her making awful faces. Mika probes her again, whether her jitteriness has something to do with Makoto. She completely denies it and dashes out of the washroom, emphasizing that they have just started dating. Suddenly she spots him hanging out with his friends. As soon as his gaze falls on her, she quickly looks away impulsively. Instantly, she regrets her act, but it gets kinda uncomfortable for her when his friends are surrounding him. Unexpectedly, he calls out to her. When she finally turns towards him, he silently waves at her. His friends catch him doing that and tease him about it. One of his friends recognizes Kokoro and thinks that she is pretty cute. So when he addresses her as Ao-chan, a flared-up Makoto warns him not to use that honorific without permission. Even while attending her class, Kokoro is still dazed from her previous encounter. Her teacher wonders whether she will be practicing that day as well. She reasons that if she doesn't, then she won't be prepared for the competition. The teacher instructs her to come to the staff room after school. The teacher peers at her closely and wonders whether something nice happened to her. When she flinches inquisitively, the teacher exclaims that she seems upbeat that day. Kokoro tries to deny that, but the teacher leaves immediately, encouraging her to give her best shot. Finding solace, a smile appears on her face, as she believes both the teacher and Mika are perceptive enough to read her mood. She reckons that even though she wasn't able to communicate with Makoto, he waved at her. But still, she feels a slight emptiness being content with only that, as there are countless things she wants to know about him. She makes up her mind to talk to him the next day. Later, during her sewing practice, he suddenly pops in, completely startling her. They both flush deeply on facing each other. Next, he checks out her prepared garments in sheer astonishment and cannot believe that she is actually making clothes. She explains that she will be handing those in for the competition. He appears impressed and then points at some neatly created bows, wondering whether she made those as well. She affirms, stating that they will be matching the outfits. He picks one up, stages it near her face, and comments that it suits her. He tries to figure out how she actually made them. Meanwhile, she is busy blushing at his compliment. He inquires whether he can stay until she is done. When she bashfully affirms, he assures her not to worry about him and keep working. She feels slightly uneasy having him watch over her. She is so shaky that her hands are trembling, so she decides to start a conversation. She suddenly remembers the list of things she wants to know about him: his favorite color, music, movie. Her heart pounding, she gathers her courage and asks him a question with her eyes closed, but the faint snoring sound coming from his side tattles that he has already fallen asleep. She watches him dozing off for a minute and then gently ruffles his hair. She is awed by his soft and smooth hair slipping between her fingers. She watches him affectionately, and it dawns on her that even though she is quite curious about him, she is still happy that he visited her. She decides to be content with that for now. Blinded by her emotions, she can see only a part of his sleeping face and finds it quite adorable. Our girl is still ruffling his hair when he suddenly opens his eyes. Panic-stricken, she realizes that he has been awake for who knows how long. Embarrassed to the core, she quickly pulls away, trying to clarify her position. Without meeting his gaze, she blurts out that she just wanted to touch him a bit. When he stares at her blankly, she realizes that she has made a fool out of herself and is talking nonsensically. He takes her by surprise by holding her closer and allowing her to touch him. At the same moment, Mika enters the class to pick Kokoro up to head home, only to catch them in a questionable position. Later, she can feel Mika's piercing glare on her, so she tries to clarify the misunderstanding that was created earlier, probably by herself. Mika is too upset, and she suggests that they have lunch with Makoto the next day. When Kokoro appears bewildered, she fiercely declares that she has to see it with her own eyes. Poor Kokoro tries to calm her down. Just another normal day in the life of high school drama. Just as decided yesterday, the trio settles down in the courtyard to have lunch. There is an awkward silence lurking between them. Makoto is heavily pressured by Mika's constant icy stares. Overwhelmed by the uncomfortable tension, a perturbed Kokoro suggests eating something. Mika coughs to concur with her and wonders whether it is okay if she can exchange her food with her tamagoyaki that day as well. Kokoro proudly declares that tamagoyaki is her specialty and readily agrees to exchange with her, claiming that it turned out really well that day. He is surprised to learn that Kokoro prepares her own lunchboxes, while she cannot believe that he usually has bread for his. He explains that his younger sister likes convenience store stuff, and it is also time-saving for him. However, he is certainly impressed by her cooking. She is glad that she woke up early that morning to show her skills. A concerned Mika mentions how Kokoro was up last night preparing outfits and hopes that she is all right. She can see how drained she appears that day. Kokoro denies it, insisting she's fine despite feeling a little sick. She knows Mika is worried, but she doesn't want to trouble anyone. She then offers him some of her food, which he accepts. As he reaches into her bento for the sweetened egg roll, she hurriedly spears it with her fork and holds it to his mouth. Makoto freezes. Realizing he meant to take it with his hands, Kokoro flushes but meets his eyes, nudging the food closer. Heart pounding, he takes a bite and says it's delicious. A faint smile plays on her lips as he compliments her once again. Instantly, she takes a bite from that same forked egg and munches it merrily. He begins to fidget nervously at the thought of being kissed by her indirectly. Meanwhile, she ponders his favorite food, guessing that he might like some curry or hamburger. Being a guy, Mika blankly watches the cringeworthy scene, and then suddenly pops a question to him about what he likes about Kokoro. He is startled by her sudden attack, so she makes a casual guess that he is probably attracted by her looks. Still at a loss for words, she rambles that going out with someone means staying together for the long run and facing hardships side by side. She believes that no matter how cute Kokoro may be, being liked for looks alone, without genuine feelings, is unacceptable to her. He clenches his shirt firmly and assures her that he deeply treasures her to make a true confession. Meanwhile, a flushed Kokoro is shaking like a leaf. Mika is still not convinced, but then her phone begins to beep as she needs to go for a meeting. She sighs and apologetically decides to leave. When she is gone, he sheepishly points out how Mika truly cares about Kokoro. She agrees that Mika always treats her well and is her dear friend. Soon, the lovebirds have to part, as both have classes scheduled in different classrooms. Because what says, "We're in love," more than avoiding each other as soon as the bell rings. Kokoro realizes how kind he is, and they were able to talk about many things. Shockingly, she feels dizzy while climbing the stairs and wobbles down, only to be caught by a vigilant Makoto. He reminds her of what Mika had mentioned earlier about her appearing drained all day. He anxiously wonders whether she is feeling sick. A frail Kokoro tries to gather herself and realizes that if he weren't there, she would have fallen. And here enters the romantic hero. Even he is relieved by the close call and offers her a piggyback ride. He suggests she head towards the infirmary and take a rest, but she refuses, assuring him of her well-being. But when he insists, she has no choice but to comply, as her head still feels lighter. She anxiously warns him that she is no Miss Featherlight, but he reminds her that he is a part of the sports club, so she should relax. He lowers himself so that she can easily climb his back, but now the ever-confused Kokoro wonders about placing her hands around him. She can hear her heart pounding fiercely as she finally wraps her hand around his shoulders. Turning beet red, he wonders whether he should grab her legs as well. When she allows him, he lifts her and instructs her to hold tight. He exclaims that she is so light. Meanwhile, she can feel a tingling effect in her legs. Reaching his head level, she finds the view so high up and his back so warm. Her head slightly brushes across his neck, and a pleasant whiff of his scent hits her nostrils. Soon she passes out, and once she regains her consciousness, she finds herself in the infirmary, with a concerned lad standing by her side. She stares at him in a daze, so he tells her that she has a slight fever, and very soon she will be picked up by her parents. She is curious whether he has been here the whole time. You see, he doesn't like to study at all. He miserably mentions how desperately he had wanted to stay, but the nurse sent him away to study. He states that he instantly rushed towards her once the classes were over. She giggles blushingly and assures him that the nurse did the right thing. He is relieved and then decides to get her bag since her family will come any minute. She apologizes to him for causing him inconvenience, but he assures her that he's fine. As he comes out of the infirmary, he spots Mika staring at him. He looks away and clarifies that he didn't do anything. To his surprise, she expresses her gratitude to him and hands him Kokoro's bag. She mumbles that Kokoro rarely relies on anyone, so she was a bit surprised when she chose to trust anyone besides her. She admits that she might have slightly taken him wrong, yet she scoffs and warns him that he is still under scrutiny from her side. She instructs him to stay by her side until then. Meanwhile, Kokoro overhears their conversation and smiles, thinking the two of them are finally getting along. Resting comfortably, she remembers how warm his back felt earlier, and her heart starts to race. She shifts uncomfortably and realizes he must have heard her rapid heartbeat. She is certain that this is the very first time her heart has beaten so noisily. Hearing the other person's heartbeat echoing in the quiet room signals romantic tension. Kokoro groans when she sees the ball in front of her. It has been a long time since she last played dodgeball. Today is the interclass ball sports tournament, and she is on the verge of a panic attack. She doesn't understand the rules well and finds the game difficult to play, worrying that she'll only slow her team down. Unexpectedly, the team captain calls her out first. When the other girls look sorry for her, the captain says the game started the moment the whistle blew. Then she secretly smiles and whispers that Mika asked her to get Kokoro out quickly. Kokoro notices the captain giving Mika a thumbs up, which her friend happily returns. Relieved, Kokoro relaxes on the sidelines as the game continues. She soon realizes that watching is much more fun than playing. Her mind wanders away towards Makoto, and blushing furiously, she wonders what he might be doing right now. Soon she begins to fidget and shift her position uncomfortably. Finally, she manages to sneak out and ends up coming to the basketball court where Makoto was expected to play. However, it is very difficult for her to locate him in such a crowded place. Finally, she gathers some guts and pierces through the packed crowd. She succeeds in reaching the front and spots Makoto expertly dribbling the ball. She loudly cheers for him and urges him to give his best shot. A shocked Makoto stares at her for a moment, then turns around, leaps, and scores a goal. As the ball smoothly slides through the basket, the whole mob cheers for him wildly. The whole class congratulates him for bringing glory to it. A flushed Kokoro cannot help notice his charismatic presence. She notices his sweat-covered face and remembers that she has an unused towel with her. She hesitantly thinks of giving it to him, but realizes that he is surrounded by a mob. She decides to wait for a while. Later, she gives the towel to him that he accepts with gratitude. The universe clearly must have planned this moment. How else would they both end up in the same place at the same time? As he rubs the towel on the back of his neck, she watches him distressfully. A wave of embarrassment strikes her, and she proclaims that the whole thing was a bad idea because he might hate the smell. He rubs the towel gently on his face and claims that he actually loves its scent since it feels like he is smelling her. She groans in embarrassment, but observes that her towel is brushing against his skin. The more she tries to think about it, the harder she blushes. It is revealed that she has been daydreaming the whole time, and the towel is still in her hands. She dreams of it being in his hands, and then quickly decides to appear perky while delivering it. She is completely oblivious to the fact that she has been noticed by him. Amused, he observes her anxiously talking to herself about how to approach him. Suddenly, someone excitedly addresses him as Shiro. He turns around to find a young girl approaching him. He remarks that she actually frightened him, but she animatedly raises her hand to get a high five from him. With a bored expression, he slaps his hand on hers. The girl is awed by the fact that he is a pro at basketball as well. Kokoro freezes at the sight and miserably watches their hands touching each other. When the girl offers him a towel, he instantly refuses it, so she assures him that it's on the clean side. When he probes her, she clarifies that she has used it a bit. He immediately refuses to use it, but the sticky girl dabs it on his cheek. He yells at her irritably, but she mocks him for being embarrassed. Kokoro is thoroughly disappointed, and she clutches the towel close to herself. Soon, it is revealed that the sticky girl is a member of the executive committee as someone complains to her about the deflated basketball. Makoto anxiously wonders whether there are other balls around. The girl mentions that they may find them at the gym warehouse. However, she is uncertain whether they are properly inflated. A flushed Kokoro suspects that the girl is also a committee member. The girl decides to look for the ball and invites Makoto to come along. He shows reluctance while sneaking a glance at Kokoro, but the girl reminds him that even he is a committee member. A distressed Kokoro registers him as very busy and throws him a cheerful wave while urging him to do his best. Makoto's heart skips a beat, and he blushingly nods at her. As he walks away, a pang of gloom strikes her, and it sinks in that she is terribly lonely. She gives a second of thought and dashes out of the room. The thought that Shirabe-kun is with another girl greatly disturbs her, so she follows them to the gym warehouse. Meanwhile, he checks all the balls and finds them all deflated. The sticky girl suddenly gets annoyingly close to him and excitedly shows him a ball that seems better. He irritably shoves her away. The girl reminds him that they are buddies from the same middle school, but he states that she should respect his personal space. Kokoro is shocked to see their proximity when suddenly the girl probes Makoto about having a girlfriend yet. Kokoro can hear her heart pounding heavily. The amused girl reveals that he has been rejecting girls like flies in middle school. Now this comes as a shocker to an eavesdropping Kokoro, who didn't have the faintest idea about his raving popularity. However, without waiting for his response, the sticky girl exclaims that she found the perfect ball. Kokoro panics when they decide to hurry out for the next game, as she is hiding just outside the door. She frantically decides to hide behind the warehouse, but as she is sprinting away, Makoto catches a glimpse of her back. Instantly, he calls out to her in astonishment, which freezes her on her steps. He probes her about his presence over there. Out of nervousness, she begins to stammer about taking a short break. Blushing deeply, he appears uncertain. Next, he inquires about her dodgeball game. Now this comes as a surprise to her because she never told him about which game she was participating in. He mentions that since he is a member of the executive committee, he is updated about such things. She appears impressed. Sheepishly, he admits that he lied to her and reveals that, since he wanted to cheer for her, he looked it up on his own. She is really pleased to learn that he cares about her so much. Suddenly, the sticky girl reminds him that they have to hurry. Kokoro's gaze falls on her hand, tugging his sleeve in urgency. He instantly sets out to leave, and before that, expresses his gratitude for supporting him. He promises her that he will contact her later. She smiles reassuringly and understands that they are fellow committee members and middle school friends. She also knows that he is a very kind person, but she feels that she should have joined the committee as well, despite lacking in sports. After the event, she wonders whether he went home already, as he hasn't messaged her yet. She suddenly hears the sticky girl praising him for his good performance, and is also thankful that everything went smoothly. Kokoro is surprised that he is still there, and is with that sticky girl again. The girl invites him to attend an after-party with the rest of the committee members. He queries her whether she won't be having it with her own class, so the girl replies that they just cancelled it at the last minute due to low attendance. This is how the word party pooper was created. He expresses his astonishment at her response, as who doesn't want to loosen up after such a long day? The sticky girl insists he join her for the party, but before he can respond, an ignited Kokoro dashes towards his back and tugs at his coat, restraining his move. Makoto is shocked to see a flushed Kokoro staring at him intensely. Kokoro, of course, has perfect timing and excellent reflexes when it comes to emotional restraint. He wonders whether she is upset because he didn't contact her. He apologizes to her, explaining that cleaning up took longer than usual. Unable to meet his gaze, she stutters nervously, denying it. Deep down, her heart is screaming at him not to talk to other girls, but she knows that she would sound completely insane if she put her feelings into words. Bashfully, he intends to take her outside. He informs the sticky girl that he will be heading out with that girl. In his nervousness, he was about to say, girlfriend. Later, while settling down in a park, she remorsefully considers herself an awful girl. She thoughtfully analyzes her actions about how she got carried away, eavesdropping, and then interrupting their conversations. She then crossed the line by pulling his coat with all her might, and she deeply hopes that he isn't angry with her. She secretly apologizes to her mother for not being a good girl. Shirabe kneels in front of her and gently asks her whether something is bothering her. He assures her that she can always talk to him about her worries. She is in a dilemma about sharing everything with him. With great courage, she finally manages to blurt out that, for some reason, she doesn't like him being close to other girls. She innocently highlights that she is okay with him talking to other girls for a while, but is uncomfortable with him holding hands with them. She nervously emphasizes that he has the free will to do as he pleases, but she just shared what had been bothering her. Makoto is embarrassed as her words pierce him sharply. She anxiously pleads with him not to despise her for sharing her thoughts. As he trembles like a leaf in front of her, she fretfully looks at him, unable to guess his expression. She calls out to him, so he lifts his beet-red face, smiling mischievously, and guesses that she was feeling jealous back then. He expresses his joy and calls her cute. He cannot believe that she actually told him about how envious she was. A puzzled Kokoro fidgets and then blurts out about her fear that he might have taken a liking to that sticky girl. Kokoro thinks that the sticky girl is good-looking, better at sports than her, and seems to have chemistry with him. He firmly denies her allegations and expresses his gratitude for keeping an eye on him. He stands up and vows that he won't bother her anymore. He claims that even he would have felt the same way if she talked to other guys, but didn't realize that he was committing the same mistake. He assures her that he has eyes only for her. After a moment of silence, he wonders about her availability the next day. Kokoro gets a jump scare when he asks her out on a date. When he glances at her, she stares at him affectionately, thinking that the uneasy feelings she had the whole day about loneliness and fear were all normal because she deeply cared about him. She is awestruck by how his magical words relieved her from those negative thoughts. She instantly agrees to go out with him. Soon the two lovebirds decide to plan for the next day while heading home. Planning for the next day is really just code for we're already in love. The next morning, Kokoro is already standing at the station waiting for Shirabe. Although they are supposed to meet at 10 a.m., she is already there half an hour earlier. She believes she would have freaked out if she had stayed home, so that's why she ended up here earlier. She nervously fumbles with her usual hairstyle and realizes that she should have worn her hair down or braided it. She also seems a little dissatisfied with what she is wearing and thinks that she should have chosen the other dress. Thankfully, he arrives and greets her. He anxiously guesses that she arrived early and was waiting for him. Startled, she lies to him that she arrived a minute ago, as she doesn't want to appear desperate. Deep down, she knows that she was really looking forward to it, though. Blushing deeply, he compliments her dress. She thanks him bashfully, Relieved that at least she doesn't look weird because she chose it after putting it back last night, he decides to move along despite being ahead of the fixed time. She is curious about what a date looks like and guesses that it is probably different from hanging out with friends. Soon they arrive at their destination, and he exclaims that he hasn't visited an aquarium since elementary school. They find a couple of clownfish, and they immediately recognize them as the ones they saw in a very popular movie. He admits how hard he cried without realizing it, and then was surprised. She sadly mentions that she even cried a lot during the final scene. He expresses curiosity about her other favorite movies. She explains that those in which a lot of cute Western clothes are displayed or live-action adaptations of fairy tales. It dawns on her that dates can be so fun. Unconsciously, their hands brush against each other, and his cheeks begin to burn. She turns around and apologizes to him, but he assures her that he is fine. They come across a weird bunch of fish with ears. From the information board, they learn that those ears are actually fins. They are amazed to learn that those flaps help the fish to change the course of direction and maintain posture. Later, while watching the adorable penguins, she exclaims that they walk so cutely. He mentions a fact about them being fast swimmers. Out of the blue, he notices that she is purposely placing her hand away from his. He anxiously inquires of her about whether something is bothering her. She jerks away her hand in sheer panic and denies it. She condemns herself for focusing somewhere else and tries to concentrate on the fish only. Makoto looks at the pamphlet, trying to figure out where to go next. Meanwhile, a flushed Kokoro can still feel the tingling effect of their brief hand encounter, and she knows that her focus will always lie on it. So basically, their brains are air-fried. She wonders whether this accidental brush will happen again by chance, and how desperately she wants it to happen just once and for a bit longer. As she reaches out to his hand, he unconsciously pulls it away. He turns towards her and is a bit startled to find her embarrassed. He asks her about it, but she shrugs it off while fidgeting with her hands, jitterily. By now, she has understood that coincidences don't happen that easily. She realizes that her mental stress is causing a great hurdle for her to enjoy the date, so she tries to focus. Unexpectedly, he calls out to her and shyly asks if he can hold her hand. When she looks at him curiously, he admits he wasn't sure if it was okay on their first date, but really wants to hold her hand now. With a pounding heart, he slowly reaches out, wanting the moment to be intentional, not accidental. There is some next-level planning going on. Blushing furiously, she musters up the courage and brings her hand closer to his. She wasn't expecting to become so jittery just by holding a person's hand. Everything is pin-drop silent, so the sound of two fiercely beating hearts can be heard clearly as the two hands intermingle with each other. He realizes that compared to the accidental encounter, this one is a lot more embarrassing, and he can feel his heart ready to jump out of his chest. Flustered, he remarks that her hand is very soft, small, and cute. She squirms from a sudden rush of emotion, surprising him. Hence, they both realize that when one is on a date, no matter how picturesque the scenery is in front of them, the rapidly pacing heartbeat will get to their heads and make them blind. However, Kokoro is sure about one thing. She would want the time to stop and freeze that beautiful moment to last forever. There's nothing like thinking about everything except the things right in front of you. But hey, at least they're in sync on that. Soon, it is time to head home, and once they do, they realize that their first date was so much fun. Kokoro miserably realizes that time goes by so quickly. Even a gloomy Makoto wishes that it would go by slowly, but then there is always the hope for their next date to come. The classic post-date realization. Now they'll spend the next week thinking about how fast time flies. Unexpectedly, a little girl approaches them, addressing Makoto as older brother. She grins at them and wonders whether he is roaming around with his girlfriend. Without waiting for his response, she shouts at him, claiming that this is the reason he has been acting like an oddball. She reveals that ever since his wacky confession day, he has been found absent-minded on a sofa, squealing after looking at his phone, and suddenly breaking into a smile. She stares at Kokoro closely and finds her cute. She inquires about her name, so Kokoro hesitantly introduces herself as Aomi Kokoro. She comments about Kokoro being adorable. Meanwhile, Kokoro also finds her very adorable. His sister grins knowingly, exclaiming that he likes Kokoro type of girls. Next to Makoto's alarm, she throws an invitation to Kokoro to visit their house. She excitedly shows her a bag, stating that she just bought some assorted cakes from the convenience store. Kokoro's eyes twinkle exuberantly at the sight of those sumptuous delights. However, a flustered Makoto rolls his eyes. Later, Kokoro fidgets nervously in Makoto's place, because although she has visited her female friends' places several times, it is her very first time coming over to a boy's place. She is kinda jittery, but is glad that in this way they would be able to spend their time together. She gives a glance at his room, and her heart begins to pound rapidly on catching his familiar warm scent. In fact, she believes that she can actually feel him more than usual in his room. She recalls the moment when they held hands at the aquarium earlier, and her cheeks begin to burn brightly. Suddenly, he comes inside the room and apologizes for keeping her waiting. Seeing her all flushed, he anxiously wonders whether something happened. A flabbergasted Kokoro instantly denies it. She remorsefully condemns herself for recalling that delicate moment. When he places the tray on the table, she inquires about his sister, Ai-chan. He explains that she preferred to eat while watching her favorite TV show. He bashfully apologizes for his sister's selfishness in inviting her over and then not giving her company. Kokoro assures him that she is glad that she finally got to meet her. Makoto is thoroughly relieved to hear that. At least his sister isn't completely ruining this moment yet. What follows is an awkward silence between them as they bashfully dig into their desserts. The only sound that can be heard is the clanking of their spoons. Kokoro feels uncomfortable and decides to strike up a conversation. She points at his amazing book collection and seeks his permission to look into it. Makoto affirms, mentioning that the books are all manga. She insists that she wants to try reading them. He nervously stares at her and explains that the manga is all about action, so he is not certain whether she would like it. Despite his apprehensions, she picks up one of those that he has been recently reading. She is thoroughly shocked to see a scantily clad waifu in the comic. It is revealed that Makoto's friends had encouraged him to go through such books as well, despite his reluctance. He had even asked them to take them back to their house, but they didn't. He breaks into a cold sweat out of panic, and then requests her to stay there for a second. Unexpectedly, he stoops lower in such a way that his hair nearly brushes her face. Instantly, he slides that obnoxious book back underneath the bed and claims that everything is fine. Then he stares at her flushed face that is only a few centimeters away from his and begins to blush furiously. It appears that the magical moment refused to pass when suddenly he pulls away from her. Unexpectedly, she grabs his sleeve to pull him closer and then places her head on his shoulder. Deep down, she wants that moment to last a bit longer, and his heart is playing drums blaringly. He tries to call her, but she is busy. She feels a sense of calm just by smelling him. When he calls out to her inquisitively, she regains her senses and lets go of him. His solemn expression makes her realize that she might have acted really bizarrely. In her defense, she blurts out that he smells great, but then reckons that yet again she is talking nonsense. He gently reaches out to her hand and then slides his fingers to interlock with hers. Her heart skips a beat, and it dawns on her that even though the whole room lingers with his scent, this feels different from the time they held hands in the aquarium. He leans closer and whispers into her ear that they must go out again. Her heart flutters, and she trembles like a leaf as he expresses his desire to be alone with her as much as possible. The situation is magically catered by pin-drop silence, and his body feels unbelievably warm. Her heart is about to jump out of her chest when his breath warms her cheeks. As he gently touches her face, she can feel her whole body being enveloped by him, while he finds her so soft. They keep on staring into each other's eyes, completely oblivious to their surroundings, when out of the blue, Ai-chan barges in, shattering the delicate delusion. She frantically reminds Kokoro that she has already passed her curfew. Both the lovebirds stare at her, completely dumbstruck. Nothing says romantic like someone barging in and reminding you of real life. She is suspicious about her older brother's actions and probes him about it. He irritably condemns her for entering his room without knocking. An upset Ai-chan emphasizes that she went all the way to remind Kokoro of her curfew. Quite later, in the privacy of her bedroom, Kokoro's heart is racing rapidly upon thinking of the memorable date. His warmth and scent still linger on her mind, and her ears are buzzing with his whispers. She slaps herself to get rid of his thoughts from her mind. Embarrassed, she hides beneath the sheets, unable to deal with the unfamiliar feelings. She knows that she is in for another sleepless night, thinking about her unpredictable future. The next day, it appears that the students are planning for an event. Everyone is told to chip in their ideas, so one of them suggests a haunted house. A dazed Kokoro ponders that everyone is excited for their very first cultural festival. Mika calls out for her attention and probes about her ideas. Kokoro thoughtfully asks her whether they have to wear costumes in it. When Mika affirms, she believes that she should be working behind the curtains rather than appearing on stage because she is too shy to do that. A surprised Mika exclaims that the beautiful costume will go to waste then. Unknown to them, a classmate has been eavesdropping on their conversation and expresses his astonishment to learn that her first name is Kokoro. He wonders whether he can call her by her first name as well. Kokoro is speechless by his strange request. When he suddenly mentions Kokoro and Makoto going out, he casually pokes his nose into their current relationship status. Suddenly, all those romantic moments that happened on Kokoro's previous date flash in her mind, making her cheeks burn furiously. just casually having an emotional meltdown in front of everyone. Someone comes to her rescue and condemns the nosy Parker, now, for being ridiculous. She claims that this is why he is unable to get a girlfriend. He protests that this has nothing to do with it, but the girl, who is named Yuri, insists that it does. Offended, now exclaims that even she is not supposed to say such things to someone. The argument gets heated, and more people get involved in it. A concerned Mika probes Kokoro about the tense situation, but she assures her that everything is fine. Deep down, she analyzes that being called by their first name increases closeness between people. Meanwhile, Nao expresses eagerness to learn about Kokoro's personal life. When she nervously denies it, he is disappointed about her secretiveness because he was planning to tease Makoto later. Suddenly, she spots Makoto passing by their class's entrance. She notices the strange seriousness on his face and is curious about the reason behind it. It suddenly occurs to her that he has never addressed her by her first name, and she is keen to know how it would sound. She imagines the sparkling aura around him as he magically calls her Kokoro. Blushing deeply, she wonders what she should do to make him call her that. She wonders whether he will call her by her name if she does the same to him. Later, during the sewing class, she bashfully tries practicing Makoto-kun, but then lowers her head in sheer embarrassment. She believes that since she is not used to it, she will face humiliation if she doesn't practice enough. She is so nervous that she can barely say it, but then she assures herself that it takes a while for even the girls to call out each other by their first names. Perfect. Just waiting for the perfect moment to make everything 10 times worse. She is still lost in her thoughts when a panting sensei suddenly barges into the room. When a startled Kokoro stares at her inquisitively, she reveals that Kokoro has won an award for her previous contest. An overjoyed girl stares at her name on the honorable mention list in sheer disbelief. Sensei heartily congratulates her, stating that earning such an award is difficult since they are the only ones in the sewing club. It's an award for the only contestant. Real competition there. The teacher praises her hard work and the long nights she gave to her work. Suddenly, Kokoro recalls the time when Makoto stayed with her after school while she practiced sewing. At that time, she was confused about which ribbon to use on her dress, so he suggested using both. She took his advice, and the result turned out to be wonderful, so when she appeared exhausted after all that work, he even cheered her up to raise her spirits. Currently, she gives credit to Shirabe-kun for being with her all that time and is eager to tell him that. But while sitting with him on a grass patch, she fidgets nervously, unable to form words. In a daze, she wonders whether he would congratulate her. Quite hesitantly, he queries her whether the boy now from her class isn't bothering her. When she appears puzzled, he explains that when he was passing by her class, he overheard them talking. Of course he was listening. Real smooth, Makoto. He apologizes to her on his behalf since he is in the tennis club as well. He mentions that he is aware that Nao called her by her first name. Kokoro assures him that she is fine. Instantly, she mentions the award she received for her work. He is glad to know that and heartily congratulates her. She gives him credit for supporting her and thanks him. He protests that he was just watching her. She is surprised when he suggests celebrating the moment. He wonders whether she wants anything special. When she refuses, he insists that he wants to do something special for her. Grabbing the opportunity, Kokoro requests that he call her by her first name. When he appears shocked, she quickly tells him to do it only once, just like any regular OTPT. Mustering up his courage, he finally manages to blurt out Kokoro. She is overjoyed and smiles blushingly. She can sense that the distance between them has shrunk, and she feels exceptional. She really wants him to feel special as well, so quite hesitantly, she addresses him as Makoto. The poor guy nearly gets a heart attack, but she smiles and points out that it feels so nice to be called out like that. After giving it a thought, he shakily declares that from now on, both will be addressing each other by their first names. She is about to have a nervous breakdown from all the pleasant surprises she got that day, and she believes that that day is her D-Day. She keeps on chanting his first name until he addresses her as Kokoro and wonders what she wants. She chuckles and explains that she just wants to call him Makoto to her heart's content because things will return to normal the next day. He assures her that he will still call her Kokoro the next day as well. And just like that, he's trapped in the cycle of eternal awkwardness. The next day, Makoto can be seen threatening Nao not to address Kokoro by her first name, and an amused Nao complies.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.